So Portland's Salvation Army didn't anticipate how hard it was going to be to get people to fill their safe RV parking lot because they're trying to create a community, right? And when you're trying to create a structured community where there are rules and no drugs allowed, and you've got a community already existing a block over where there aren't any rules and drugs are encouraged, it's tough to get your site filled up. Let's get into it. Here we go. Portland's Safe Rest Village for RVs is still not filled. Is this shocking? No. We've had multiple safe rest villages in multiple cities. And you know what? Seattle's had them. They always get closed down. Why? Because they become infested with drugs because the people that are living in RVs as a form of housing are oftentimes, not all the time, but very high percentage. They got something going on. They're doing the illegal stuff. They're doing a little fetty. They're doing a little meth. They're doing whatever. Yeah. The Sunderland RV Safe Park opened 2 months ago in Northeast Portland. It's not yet half full. The site operators point to unanticipated challenges. Yeah, we didn't see that one coming. Shocking, right? Homeless people living in RVs have become a growing problem in parts of Portland. About 2 months ago, the city's Safe Rest Village team opened what they believe to be part of a solution. The Sunderland RV Safe Park in Northeast Portland. It's a safe rest village meant for the people living in vehicles. Salvation Army runs it, and so far 25 vehicles have moved in. There's room for a total of 55. So everybody's always talking about, we just need more housing, we need more spots. Here's the perfect example of, you got it, you got what you asked for. Now, why aren't people going there? Why are there still thousands of RVs littered around Portland and they're not all begging to get into this site? Why is that? How's that happen? So more than 80 people have qualified, but it comes down to them being ready. So it comes down to them being ready. This is from Blair Best, by the way, KGW8 in Portland. The people on drugs being ready. It comes down to, are you ready? Are you ready? No, you're not. Oh, we'll come back and we'll talk to you. You're just coddling a bunch of addicts. That's what you're doing. You are coddling addicts. I think you should have to be drug tested to get into one of these bad boys. I mean, if you're going to accept public money, if you're going to accept taxpayers' money for services, you should be drug tested. No drugs for you. Because why would we want to do that? Why would we want to continue funding the lifestyle of these folks that it's literally killing them? We wouldn't, but that's not what we're doing in Portland, right? We want to be full, and we've had more than enough referrals from the Portland Bureau of Transportation and the city outreach teams. The challenge is getting people to pack up their personal belongings to get their unit prepared to be towed in. Now, that doesn't sound like people screaming for housing, does it? That doesn't sound like people, oh my gosh, if you are really desperate to get in to one of these taxpayer funded programs, wouldn't you be ready to go before they even asked? I mean, okay, there's a spot open. I'm on it. I'm Johnny on the spot on it. Wouldn't that be your attitude? If you really want something, you're going to be there. You're going to be ready. But no, we got to wait for them to pack up. What's the problem here, folks? These are drug addicts and they can't follow through on a gosh darn thing. That's what it is. They can't follow through on anything. Yeah, I'd love to get some housing. I'd love to get a spot in the RV park, but I just can't work it out because I'm too busy getting high. Period. That's what you got going on. Yeah. So he says there have been cases where crews go to someone's RV 5 times. Five times. How about that? 5 times. And the homeless people still aren't ready to move in because they're getting high. Hey, I got to take a hit of my meth pipe here and I'll get right back to you. I'll figure out when it's convenient for me. Maybe a week from next month. Unfortunately, a lot of folks just struggle following through in commitment, he said. Well, that does seem to be an issue with people with mental health care issues on top of extensive addiction issues, right? That's a real problem. You can't get those people to do a darn thing because their entire life is predicated upon getting high the next time. getting high the next time. It's not like these folks are, on a waiting list and they're Johnny on the spot ready to go. That's just not what we're talking about, are we? Another challenge, said one of the Salvation Army that didn't anticipate, was how hard it was going to be to create a structured community inside the site when there's already a strong community one street over on Northeast 33rd Drive. And she's giving an actual example. This is real life. So, okay, yeah, we didn't really think that one through. We just put this safe rest village, block over. All right, do you want to be in that? You can do your drugs in that one over there, or you can come to this one here. No drugs, set of rules, we got systems and rules, and no can do. You doing the stuff that you're doing over there. So why would you go there? Why would you go there? It's nuts, right? Unfortunately, a lot of folks just struggle following through in commitment. Shocking. Shocking when that happens. So far, we've had some drugs show up, but we've not had any serious issues of people creating a danger to others, he said, meaning they're just doing drugs in their own RV on their own, and they're not impacting others yet with safety issues, but they will. That is how most of these places go out. Shut her down. Too dangerous. Can't have that. I mean, I think a lot of what goes on in not only the tiny homes communities, but in, communities like this, the safe rest villages, so much of the shenanigans that happen are just flat not reported. It comes down to when somebody has an OD or somebody dies or somebody's, sexually assaulted, and females. That's what happens so often. KGW is told the Portland Bureau of Transportation has been moving people in their RVs to 33rd Drive while they wait to move into the site. So they're just making an existing horrific camp worse till they can figure out how to get these people into the illegal site, right? It was a young man who came to us and let us know that the program was available in July, said Ann, who lives in the site. Earlier this summer, Portland Bureau of Transportation moved her to Northeast 33rd Drive, where she stayed for 2 weeks before they told her she could move into the park. It was then up to her to get there since her RV didn't run. Have you looked at any of these effing RVs? I mean, if they've run, I would be shocked, right? I mean, there's a reason that, when people basically bail out of society, they go from having an apartment to they get a cheap RV that may or may not be running. Emphasis on cheap, inexpensive, affordable, right? And those things, I mean, even the nice ones, they're like a big boat. They're ridiculous on the maintenance. The amount of stuff you got to do, the amount of systems to keep it up is just incredible. And they're complex. They got a lot of stuff going on, and they're mechanical. So all of these systems fail. So now you're buying a big piece of machinery that's going to fail, that probably already has failed. And then the city expects them to get said piece of machinery into the lot. Good luck with that, right? I mean, most of these are broken down. They don't run. And you see guys working on them forever and ever and ever. And, they're trying to get it up and going, because I told that city official we'd be moving out of here soon. That was 6 weeks ago. We're still here. A lot of us had problems getting towed over. It's frustrating because you have to be on the hunt for somebody that can help you, Ann said about finding a way to tow her RV to the site. Despite that, she is one of the lucky ones. No one will talk about how to get in, said James Black, who's been trying to move into the site for weeks. It's like a closely guarded secret. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, he said. There's outreach out there, though. I mean, you just know there's outreach, though. Through a referral process, the Portland Bureau of Transportation and city outreach crews pick which RVs are allowed to move in. You just have to happen to come upon one of the community outreach workers that refer people to this park. There's no way to get in touch with them, he said. Really? I mean, so much of what you hear is just, it's like, okay, has anybody reached out to you since you've been here? No. And yet you got outreach coming through all the time. Where is all the King County Regional Homeless Authority? Where are all of their folks? Where is all of that money going? If folks just haven't even seen outreach, haven't seen people coming by, hey, you still alive? So then the article goes in to talk about Salvation Army connects with street services, yada, yada. Well, we know it doesn't work, or it's a super slow process. But this is typical. This is typical for a city-run site. When you hear about these stories, the thing that always comes to my mind is that, hey, you're looking for like 35,000 units or 3,500 units of housing, and you're coming up with a couple hundred a year. It's because people don't want to go in to this type of structured community where there's restraints on what you can and can't do. Most people that are addicted to drugs will not take that offer of housing. So this whole notion of having housing available before you do a sweep, to me, is just ludicrous. I mean, it's just preposterous. And this is a good example of why that happens. You've got a perfectly good site and the city can't figure out how to bring it in, bring people in. You got to drive your own rig in here. All right. Well, I mean, we're not talking rocket ships here. We're not talking some kind of crazy engineer to get these things up and running and going, right? You tow them in there and you drop them off and you tell people the rules and all right, you do this, you're good. If not, you're out of here. But then, if you go out to somebody literally 5 times, like the article states, and they're not ready, that is the textbook example of why when you go out to these homeless encampments, and they've been given notice after notice after notice, they've been given notices days, sometimes weeks in advance. They can't get their together, literally, physically. They can't get it together to get out of the encampment because their entire day is spent getting high or working on stealing to get high, or working on selling their stolen goods to get high, or selling their body to get high. You keep on going. This is what they're doing. They don't have time or energy or desire to pack their stuff up. So then you've got the police come, and you've got, in our case here, it's King County Regional Housing Authority. They come in, or, sometimes it is the police that come in and do the sweep with the city of Seattle, or, it's whatever entity that comes in. And everybody's also shocked. Well, we didn't have enough time to get our stuff together. It's like, no, you did. You did. If you would have started, you live in a tent. All of your belongings are in a tent, or they're just outside of a tent. We're not talking about huge amounts. We're talking about enough stuff to fill a couple of shopping carts. And you know how we know that? Because when these encampment sweeps happen, that's what you see them pushing, is a couple of shops, a couple of shopping carts that they steal from a grocery store, and they push their stuff into the next location, probably a block down the road. So this notion of needing housing is just such a ridiculous concept. It's not. And you have stories like this that come up consistently. Wow, we did a sweep and we accepted this many. Sometimes you'll get like half of the people will accept housing, but long term, that percentage of people that accept housing is super, super small. It just is. And I'm talking about just the housing in general. This is how this goes. You got a lot of folks out there doing some really good outreach, trying to get people into treatment. That's what should be done. Housing, get people into treatment, because that is where you're really going to make an impact. But we're not doing that. Most entities aren't doing that. It's not the way the system is rigged. The system is rigged for folks to do whatever they want. And, folks are going to keep doing the drugs. They're going to keep doing the drugs until they probably die. Something along those lines. And the reason we know that, because the average age for homeless folks to their life expectancy in Seattle and King County is about 1/3 less than a typical resident not living in an encampment. So people want to say, well, they just need some housing. Now they need to get off the drugs. That's what they need to do. They need to get off the drugs. And without extreme help, because these drugs are just nuts, right? Without some extreme help and without some family members being involved and all kinds of other stuff. Jonathan Cho and Christine Moreland had a really good segment that Jonathan Cho had some video on of a family member that her family she'd been living on the streets for a while, and her family had been looking for her, and she got arrested, and they tried to hold her in jail, and some judge set her free, because judges here in Seattle are just, they're doing the Seattle thing, right? They're doing, we trust you. We believe in you. We can't hold you incarcerated. We just got to let you go. even though the family's begging for her, just keep her in one place. Cause she's mental as well. I mean, she's just psychotic and mental, but the lengths to which this family and Christine Moreland and Jonathan Cho all went to get her some help. I mean, you got thousands of people on the streets that don't have that system of support. So you know what? These people are probably going to go out in a casket, probably going to go out in a body bag, right? And we know that statistically speaking, that is literally what we're allowing them to do. And, you know, one of the things down in Portland, the city officials are going to take a little field trip to Portugal, where Portugal is kind of the case study for decriminalizing drugs. But Portugal actually has addiction services available for any of their folks that get, you know, miraculously hooked on the bad stuff. Whereas Portland, Oregon, worst in the country for access and availability of addiction services. So, you know, comparing Portland to Portugal, Measure 110 in Portland basically decriminalized possession of drugs, right? And so now city officials are sitting around scratching their head. God, we did that. And Portugal did it a while ago. Now we can't figure out why we have, you know, fentanyl overdose spike just going to the moon. We got such a drug problem. We got such a homeless problem. People using drugs. We can't really work out why that is. Let's go to Portugal, take a field trip, and we'll try and work it out. What? You're comparing apples to oranges, and we all knew this all along. If you've got good addiction services and you don't allow people to basically just live willy-nilly and do the drugs wherever they want willy-nilly, different story. But, you know, Portugal and Portland, you're comparing apples to oranges. There's no comparison. Portland, it's a free-for-all. Do whatever you want. And so you do whatever you want. And that's how you end up with a safe rest village, half filled, a long time, couple of months after it's opened up. So all this talk about housing, all this talk about, oh, we just need some more beds. If we could just get them into housing, we'd solve the problem. Perfect case study for how that is just nonsense. It's just nonsense. That's not the drill. You got to get people the help they need, but it's brutal. The drugs that are out there now, that's a massive uphill battle. So we're stuck with this for a while. Long term. I mean, podcast for days is the way that I quantify it, right? Podcast for years. All right. That's it for me. Make sure you stay tuned because this thing ain't going away. This is going to be on the books for a long time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a reasonable person. Maybe you're not, but maybe you're thinking about, oh yeah, I usually vote this way, but God, that doesn't seem to really be working out all that well. And maybe we need some change. Maybe you need some new politicians. Yeah. Huh. What about that? All right. Well, we'll be talking about that too. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon on the next one. Bye for now.